muted.
Can you hear me, Andy?
Yes, sir. You're good now.
I think we got muted on purpose.
All right, now then. I'm alive now.
Yep.
Dave, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can all hear you. We're good to go.
Hello, Dave Lamar.
Hi, Ken. How you doing, buddy?
I don't know yet. I'll have to let you know later if that's all right.
Okay.
Good to see you, man. I guess we're going to go on and get this thing started, I reckon. I don't know if there's any fanfare or anything, but I'm going to call the Parks Board meeting of Monday, September 28th, 2020 to order. Mr. Pike, can you do the pledge, please?
Sure can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you.
Play ball.
Who said that?
Jeremiah.
Good enough. Good enough. Ms. Bruce, do we have any citizen comments?
Not that I'm aware of. No one's called the office today to request to be on the citizens' comments.
Say that again.
No one called the office to request to be on citizens' comments today.
Thank you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I will ask for approval of the minutes of
All
August 24th.
All approval.
Second.
Say again.
I approve.
Second.
Second. Anybody wants a second?
Mr.
Give me
Head,
head.
we're ready. I'll call the roll. Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler.
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here last time.
Okay. Mr. Perry
Yes.
and Mr. Golden.
Yes.
You got it.
Thank you, folks. Have next the Connect Committee report. Who speaks to that?
I can, Mr. Chairman. This report is probably not as positive as some of the past in recent months. I first want to say all the members of the Connect Committee have done a great job of working together, trying to come up with a plan as far as player development, get something in the works. Unfortunately, we've lost two more of the committee members this past month from the rec soccer side. That's now 4 members since this all started from rec soccer that have stepped down. When we left the meeting on, I guess it was September 2nd, the committee was pretty much in agreement that we were moving along nicely. We were needing a signed agreement from the presidents of both clubs, and we were going to do a marketing piece, a press release, to include some of the player development dates that we had hoped to start this past week. After that meeting, some things fell through when all the whatever was agreed on from the committee went back to the clubs. The rec soccer club found some things that they didn't like with that agreement, and we're kind of at a standstill at this point. We have plans to meet with both presidents to try to work through these issues, but at this point, we do not have a signed agreement, and we do not have any player development dates to move forward with. And we need
Any questions, Mr. Long?
We need 2 more members from rec soccer to join back with the committee. It's kind of where things stand.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Dallas.
Go right ahead.
Dallas, can you share with us what some of the disagreements were, from rec soccer?
One of them is in the agreement that Tennessee United would like for, if any discussions at each board meetings come up regarding the Connect Committee and this player development plan, that the other club be notified of the discussions and be invited to the board meetings. And Rec Soccer does not agree with that and did not want that as part of the agreement. Andy, am I missing something else? Something about the marketing piece as well. We were wanting to do a joint marketing piece, and Rec Soccer wasn't in favor of that as well.
That's two things. The third thing was kind of not the length of the agreement, but if somebody wanted out of it without any notice. So what we're going to do is get with our staff and the presidents of both boards, and probably Mr. Pike, who's our liaison of the Connect Committee. We're going to see if we can hammer this out so we don't have to come on here in a month and have another report like this one.
All right, thank you, Dallas.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Long.
Thank you.
Okay, under old business park project updates, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. You'll start to see a couple of our winter projects coming up over the next couple of weeks. One thing we'll be doing, if you've driven in the park and at Drake's Creek and you've seen the temporary fence from the Demos entrance, those will be replaced with bollards where people can't park there in the median. That's been very helpful. The cell tower project is almost complete. They've got it up. If you've been in Drake's Creek, you've seen some welcoming banners, custom windscreen type banners. Those look pretty good. Rugby field, rugby complex, they've gotten their goalposts up. Looks really good out there. Got some other things in the works coming up as far as hopefully adding restroom type facilities. And the security cameras at Volunteer Park and Sanders Ferry, the electricity work is done. We just have to order the cameras and get them installed. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know. As you all are in the park over the next month or so, if you see things that are out of place or things that need to be fixed that we might not have seen, do not hesitate to let us know that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Gilly. Any questions? Thank you. Athletic committee member appointment, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. If y'all on page 4 of your packet is a list of our different committees. We had an opening and we need to fill that opening, hopefully with Mr. Golden, our new member, but that will take a vote. So
I move.
Second.
I have a first and a second.
who was the second?
That was me, Mr. Gilly.
Mr. White.
Thank you. Mr. Frank made the motion.
Mr. White, second.
All right, I will call the roll.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
and Mr. Golden.
Sure. Yes. That's fine.
Sure. Wow.
Very good.
All right. You're there, dude.
I know. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Under new business, PGF Select, Super Select Tennessee Mojo, Mr. Norwood and Ms. McDonald.
Yes, sir. Present.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so I talked to Andrea, was requesting fields, 13 fields at Drake's Creek Park. A couple things I had questions on is that it's not the Tennessee Mojo invite, it's the Beverly Bandits invite. So just a little name change. And then I may have screwed the form up, but we have requested 13 fields at Drake's Creek Park. Andrea Wise said they'd be available. I think I mismarked the form here, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. That's April 9th and 11th. Games would be 12 to 9 o'clock on Friday. Games would be 8:30 to 9 o'clock on Saturday and 8:30 to 5:30 on Sunday. That'd be 80 teams. That's April 9th through the 11th. Not sure what else you need me to filter out to you.
All right. Questions of Mr. Mack?
I do, Mr. Hessen. This is kind of, I guess, for Ms. Wise or Mr. Gilly too. Have we worked out our share, the share we get on this, Mr. Gilly, as far as paying back? I guess we get a share of the gate or a share of the, whatever it is, the 7%, whatever it is. Mr. Gilly?
I have not spoken to, sorry, I forgot your name.
Jeff.
Jeff, I have not spoken to Jeff about that. I don't know if Andrea or Dallas have gone over that with him.
They have not.
Okay.
I would think that's something you probably need to talk to Andrea and get that worked out.
Sure.
And can we even vote on this without that worked out? Mr. Gilly?
I mean, I think you could vote on it contingent
on
upon him
coming back or working it out
I
with
think you
y'all.
can vote on it contingent with him working with the staff to
Okay.
select a civic group that he's going to work with
Sure.
and dealing with our staff on fees.
Okay.
More than happy to.
You want to make that motion, Mr. Pike?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we pass this on contingent that all the dates and the which group he's gonna donate money to, work that out with the staff. And I guess I butchered this, but that's just my motion, that he works that out, everything out with all the details out with the staff.
More than happy to, guys. I just would need some guidance from your part, whether it be Andy or Andrea. I could follow up with a conference call sometime this week, whatever works best for you. Just let me know how we want to proceed and make sure we get all our ducks in a row on this.
Got a motion. Do I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Head, second. A discussion?
Des, I've got a question, and just to throw this out, are you talking about field 3 too, Andy? You said all 13 fields.
Yeah, I don't.
Field 3's not marked on here.
Field 3 is not marked.
It's not, yeah, it's not marked. I wasn't aware of like what to mark. I know I talked to Andrea and she said we can get 13, but I probably screwed it up. I didn't realize there was different complexes. So is field 3 not a softball field? It's a baseball field?
Correct.
And field 10 is a T-ball field.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that. So 11 fields total then?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's 11 in Drakes Creek.
That would work. Yep.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? I got a motion and a second and a vote coming. Mr. Gilly?
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
All righty.
Gentlemen, who do you want me to follow up with tomorrow? Do you want me to
Jeff,
follow?
and Andrea will follow up with you first thing in the morning tomorrow.
That'd be great,
I promise,
yeah.
I promise you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Frostbite 5K, 10K, Mr. Tackett.
That's me. How y'all doing tonight?
All
Thank you.
right.
There we go. Okay. Well, that's a good point. So typically we host the YMCA 5K, 10K around New Year's Day. This is kind of our backup plan if we're not able to use our typical course, which meets right at the Y and circles kind of in the neighborhood around there. The only reason I've kind of just put this as a backup plan to use in case because I really want to run it, and we would start runners 5 to 10 seconds or 20 or 30 seconds a piece if we're not able to start in a kind of a wave start at the Y. Reason to use the greenway is that would be several hours, and I really don't want to have to tie up police support and the road surrounding the Y for 4 hours at a time. So all hope is that we're able to run it normally at the Y, but if not, this would just be using the greenway system as a backup, bringing about 100 people in at a time and starting runners, every 30 seconds or so. Basically running from kind of right where Memorial Day Classic is, the start there, basically to the library, out and back for the 5K, and then for the 10K course, it would run kind of wrap around towards Mary's Magical Place a little bit.
Okay. Questions?
And this would just be a one-time, 1 year type thing, not an annual thing. Hopefully.
When will you know? When will you know if you need this facility?
My goal would actually be within the next couple of weeks, kind of by mid-October. So that way we can go ahead and start promoting and planning and letting our folks know and timers. Our goal would be, mid-October, 1st of November at the latest. By November 1st, we would definitely have to, for our end, know exactly what we're doing.
Okay. Any more
When
questions?
is the actual, sorry, when is the actual event? Sorry.
January 2nd.
Thank you.
So Saturday the 2nd.
Any more questions?
Andy, is that going to be, you guys going to be looking at doing double the duty, and is that extensive?
Well, I'm not quite sure I understand.
I'm asking. I'm asking if how much of a hardship it's going to put staff on to pull this contingency plan together.
We shouldn't have. We've met with these folks, and I think January 2nd we shouldn't have a lot going on in the park. We should be fine. I think it'll be fine.
Questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Who was second?
Head.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second and a vote now.
Mr. Head.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
Mr. Frank.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
Mr. Pike.
Yes.
Mr. Hessen.
Yeah.
Mr. Bowler.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Just make sure you stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah, I'll touch base with folks over in a couple weeks and let them know what's going on. Appreciate it, guys and gals.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda, I can't wait for this one. Spookaween at the park.
Thank you,
Mary
Mr.
Foster.
I'm actually here going to speak on behalf of Mrs. Foster. I'm one of the participants. Carrie is leading this up, but she is extremely under the weather tonight, has been. So if y'all can just keep her in your prayers as she gets through her recovery on that one. This is an event not meant to compete with anything that the Parks does with the Parks event that happens a few nights before. This is something that Carrie came up with because with COVID, a lot of the traditional trunk or treats and other events outside of neighborhoods have been canceled this year. And so there's a lot of young families who live in neighborhoods that don't have a lot of trick-or-treaters or don't do a lot of trick-or-treating that have relied upon these trunk or treat events and these centralized events. So she wanted to put one together on that Saturday night of Halloween at Saunders Ferry Park at Pavilion number 8. There's absolutely no commercial activities going to be involved, no advertising at any of the booths. These are essentially folks who live in neighborhoods who may not get a lot of trick-or-treaters or people who would want to go trick-or-treating in their neighborhood but don't have a lot of houses participating, those families being able to get together at Saunders Ferry Park. Right now, looking at 20 booths, everything's going to be designed to make sure that there's appropriate distancing, and so there's no requirements for power, there's no requirements for a sound permit, anything like that. Not looking at having any food trucks, just in case, unless it looks like there's going to be a huge amount of people between now and then, in the next few weeks who decide they want to start to participate. Because if you just have 20 families there, we're going to have, participating, giving out candy, 20 booths. That's not going to be enough to support a food truck. But this is just really an alternative Halloween trick-or-treating event for folks who live in the neighborhoods that don't get the big trick-or-treaters.
Looks like we got Miss Foster over there too.
Yeah. I hadn't seen any head shaking. We good, Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Mr. Head makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Pike second. Now the vote.
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Looks
you.
like the Spookaween's on.
I want to thank y'all and also thank Carrie Foster for doing this. This is not through any sort of organization. This is just somebody in the neighborhood who saw a neighborhood need and started to put this together. So
That's great.
it's just,
Nice job.
y'all know this is how things get done. So thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
By the way, Mr. Bowler, it's not going to be that easy to take Santa Claus away from me. You got a beard, but it ain't a Santa beard. All right, next on the agenda, Cycle Bar fundraiser, Pooch Party at the Dog Park. Devika Kumar. Ms. Kumar, I can't hear you. Can anybody hear her?
No.
Mm-mm.
We can't hear you.
Is she muted?
We've all been there.
Doesn't appear that she's muted.
I was muted and I didn't know it.
Have her call in.
Any suggestions?
Might want to try to log off and then log back on, and we can bring you back in. We'll go to another item, then bring you back in. All right.
Okay. All righty. Well, let's move on. She back?
No, we'll try to let you know when she's back.
USA South Panther Rugby Academy Camp, Mr. Silkwood.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So part of what what we're trying to do with this USA Rugby Camp, so this is part of a select team program that I've been a part of for the past 3 or 4 years. I helped coach through the USA South Rugby Panther program. And part of our opening weekend at the Rugby Field Complex, we were trying to and then talk to them about having their camp come in town for our opening weekend. So part of what's involved with this is our local team will be playing games that morning from probably around 10 to 2. We've got other teams from the state of Tennessee coming in to play. And then after that, there's going to be a player camp from 3 to 5, and then another player camp Sunday morning from 8 to noon is the rough time. The main thing I think you all should know about is that we actually, through this Panther Camp, we've got the MLR, which is the Major League Rugby team from Atlanta, is bringing their coaching staff along with some players to pretty much run this camp as part of what's going on. So our opening weekend, we'll have games locally for our high school, middle school team, and then we're also going to have a camp based there. We should have players coming from probably 4 to 5 different states, Georgia, obviously Tennessee. There should be a couple players from the Carolinas. There's possibly a couple players from Missouri coming as well to this camp. So it's kind of a great way to kick off our first initial games at the Rugby Park. And hope you guys will agree that it's a kind of a great thing just to help get this whole park out there and publicity around it.
Okay. Questions?
I have one, and this may be for Andy, probably is for Andy. How does this, with the time frame and where they're doing it, affect any kind of traffic issues or where it's at or anything else that's going on around that?
I mean, they're at the rugby field, so there's going to be traffic on Avant Lane, but I don't think it's going to be any different than when they start having rugby tournaments out there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think we'll be all right.
Okay.
Other questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I didn't hear that. Did you hear Andy?
PA.
PA moved to approve, I thought, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I didn't hear
Bennett, second. Second.
Got it. Mr. Bennett, second.
All right.
Now the vote.
Mr. Head?
Yeah,
Mr. White?
yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mr. Hessen?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
There you go.
And
I also
you're
vote
good.
yes. I also vote yes. So
I'm sorry, Mr. Golden. I left you off.
it's all right, dude.
My bad.
I get left out a lot. Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
I was muted. I'm just kidding.
Brian, thank you. It's sort of looks awesome over there, buddy.
I think Miss Devica is back on. Can you hear us?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you are.
I do have a voice.
You want me to introduce you again?
You
You
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
I can go ahead.
Go ahead.
So yes, I'm with Cycle Bar in Hendersonville, and we routinely do fundraisers in our studio, but with COVID, we're operating at 50% in our studio. We're an indoor cycling center, and so we wanted to take our bikes out into the community for our fundraisers, and I got together with our team and we all agreed that it would be fun to do something for the at one of the parks. And I met with Andy and his team, and he recommended that we do a fundraiser for the dog park. So I think I may have incorrectly notated other, but I guess this is the Memorial Park dog park. And so what we would do is we would bring anywhere from 20 to 25 bikes on site at the dog park, and charge $25 per bike. We'll do 3 to 4 classes depending on the demand. And 100% of that money raised goes back to the dog park. And we have teamed up with Pet Supplies Plus to do this, and we've invited several other vendors. Each vendor will be required to pay $50 towards the fundraiser to display. And so we have like a vendor that makes dog houses. We have a vendor that does dog sitting. We've got 2 other vendors that do dog grooming, a dog training vendor. We're hoping that we can bring on a dog adoption organization to do an adoption event that day, and possibly 1 or 2 food trucks. Nothing huge, but so that's kind of the game plan. And we're looking at October 24th from 9 to 1.
Okay. Questions? No questions. All right, I'll I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. White,
Second.
Mr. Head, second. Vote.
Mr. Golden,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Head.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Take care of the poochies.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
you.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Bruce, you know this right here is going to be near and dear to my heart. Next agenda is Grace Place Kickball Tournament. Not even going to try to say the first name, Van Cleve.
Hi, my name's Jamie, and I'm going to talk on behalf of Danae. She's in the car right now with a car full of kids and dogs. So
okay.
There.
I am
Be
here,
easy
though,
on
but
me.
I'm gonna mute.
We are hoping, with your approval, on November 6th to have a kickball tournament to benefit Grace Place Ministries. We're hoping for it to be an annual event to start up. Our anticipation, with some insight from Wade Evans, is to ask for 5 fields at Drake's Creek. We're going to do 4 teams on each field, have 20 teams with 15 people each. We are hoping to earn $500 a team, so there will be a charge for it. We are also hoping to attend the meeting on Thursday for a beer permit. If it's approved with you all and that board as well, we have made arrangements for 2 policemen to be on site, along with 2 EMTs and an ambulance. All the proceeds will go to benefit Grace Place. Do you have any questions for me?
How could anybody question that?
We also want to make sure that we can use the park's concession.
Okay, that would. What about that, Mr. Gilly?
Would be a question for Mr. Head, probably.
We can open the consent. When is it again?
November the 6th. It should start at noon. And we anticipate it to end not until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Wade, would you agree with that?
Yeah, correct. I mean, the way, if we're going to play round robin on every field, and then we do a single elimination tournament for the best teams from the fields. So yeah, we'd be done 9:30.
What fields are you going to give them, Wade?
Probably the ones right by the Civitan.
Big Veterans Park.
Yeah.
Well,
either way, we can have the concession stand open and run it and give a percentage back to them to donate towards their fundraiser.
I'm sorry.
That
not
would be
Veterans Park. It's
wonderful.
at Drake's Creek Quad. I'm sorry. My bad.
Correct.
Jimmy, they were talking 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11.
Yeah,
Correct.
It's not a problem. We'll run the stand that day. Just we'll have it open an hour before and to the last game start. And like I said, we'll run it and have it available, and we'll give a percentage back to the fundraiser.
Thank you.
But you don't have to serve beer.
I'll get some pretzels and something to go with it then.
Pretzels and peanuts.
Pretzels and hot dogs.
All right, motion to approve this.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Ready? Vote.
Who was the second?
Mr. Head.
Jimmy.
Got it.
Good.
Mr. Head,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Frank,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pike,
Yes.
Mr. Hessen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
All right. I did want to tell you that some years back, I tried out for professional kickball in Zurich and didn't make the team, but I will be available for autographs if you need me there.
That is excellent. Thank you guys so much.
Do you have video, Jessica? Can you prove that?
They didn't have video then.
Better quit while you're ahead. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, ma'am. Big Bubba's Bash Celebrity Softball Game. I don't even know who that is. Mr.
Well, let's see if we can get you caught up here, Brother Hesson. On August 18th, we're wanting to, this is actually going to be the night before the Twitty tournament kicks off. So we're going to kind of be right up behind that before they all come to town. We're going to have that celebrity game. It's going to be hopefully on field 3, and it will, all the proceeds will go to the Humane Society here in Hendersonville. So there's no entry fee to get in. There's no gate fees. We'll sell some T-shirts and things, and just take some donations and just do the best we can.
You the man.
That's it.
Questions of Mr. Perry?
Hey, Bubba, is it one softball game, 2 teams, or is it multiple?
Yeah, just one game, 2 teams. We'll run 7 innings. We won't go over that.
Coming back out for retirement?
No, I'm going to stay by the concession stand and help Jimmy out.
If they approve this, can I sing the national anthem?
You can play what is that instrument you play?
No, I said, can I sing the national anthem?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
We'll have to vote
We don't
on
want
that.
that either.
Oh, we had to vote on the
Have to vote on that.
I'll accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Who was that, Mr. White?
Sure.
And second, Mr. Pike?
Yep.
Vote.
Real quick, before you vote, if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this or not.
Wait, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, discussion, that's right.
I was going to share my screen and show everybody. Let's see if I pull up. Can you see my screen?
Sweet.
Everybody
Nice.
get ready. You'll need to get ready to come out of your pocketbook to buy a cap here before long.
When can we get it?
They'll be here. They'll be here in a few weeks.
All right.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you, Andy. They're awesome. Thank you.
Good job, Andy and Bubba.
Mr.
Head,
Head.
Yes.
Mr. White.
Yes.
Mr. Frank.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
Mr. Pike.
Yes.
Mr. Hesson.
Yeah.
Mr. Bowler.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yeah, I will.
Mr. Golden.
Yes.
All in favor.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Perry. You made it. I do want to tell you that you have done as much for the park system just out of your heart. And I want to make sure that everybody understands why you do this and how you do it. And I, for one, am always going to hold you as a hero, buddy.
Thank you. Well, all you guys are the heroes. Y'all make it happen.
Well, that's all right. I'm not playing, so I ain't going to do nothing. All right. Thank you, sir. Next, discussion of fees for tennis tournaments. Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. It's been a while since we've really had a third party come in and want to run a big tennis tournament. We have that situation coming up in the next week. But we're looking at the fees that you all approved, the latest in our event handbook. We didn't really cover tennis, so we didn't have much to go on there. In your packet, page 19, Coach Jones, our tennis coordinator, put together a proposal. I think it's pretty good. He kind of went off what some other cities do and combined what his thought was best for us. My personal recommendation, and you can do what you all want, obviously, but personally, I would recommend to put these fees in beginning January 1 for any event that starts January 1 of 2021 going forward. it's going to be kind of hard for us to say to a group, we just voted these fees in on Monday and you're playing on Saturday. So that's just my recommendation.
Any questions, Mr. Gilly? Was that a question? I couldn't hear that. Okay, well, do I have a motion to approve
Chairman,
it?
I have a question to Mr. Gilly is the tournament that's coming in this weekend, what fees are they operating under currently? What would we?
We'll just probably charge my regular court rental fee, just like somebody was going up there to reserve it as a citizen.
Okay. Any other question? I'll entertain a motion to accept this under whoever makes the motion. I'd like for them to voice that as far as the date and the time.
I'll make the motion. Let me see
Okay.
how I'm gonna word this.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve this with the $100 a day facility fee and the player head tax of $2 per player under defined rules that Mr. Jones has put out. And I make a motion that we start this January 1, 2021.
Very well done. Very well. Did I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Mr. Perry, second. More discussion? All right, we'll have a vote.
Mr. Head?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mr. Hessen?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Done and done. Thank you, Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir.
And for your information on page 20, you can read that, I think. All right, under staff reports, Recreation Coordinator, Ms. Hamlin.
Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Okay, I'm preparing for the preschool track meet. It's scheduled for Sunday, October 18th. It's for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds with their age being determined as of October 31st, 2020. All will participate in the 25-yard dash, the tennis ball throw, and the hurdles. All will get a ribbon for their place, and there will be a limit of 36 in each age group. And we will abide by all current COVID restrictions and regulations that are in place at the time. We're going to do a little different this year. This year, the 3-year-olds will check in at 12:30, and they will then move to their holding cell. Their events will begin at 1, and we will divide them up into groups. And then hopefully by 2 o'clock we are done. 4-year-olds will check in at 1:30. They will into their holding area and then move on to the field. And then 5-year-olds will check in at 2:30 and then move onto the field for their events. We're allowing only one parent on the field per participant. No siblings on the field. All other spectators will have to be outside the field area in order to watch. And I think that's pretty much it. Working with Andrea on the trick or treat at Drakes Creek when I get back in the office. And then we'll be getting set up for Lunch with Santa, hopefully soon.
Question, Cindy. Me and Mr. Gilly was talking about that. How do you plan to proceed with Breakfast with Santa Claus?
That's something I'm going to have to really sit down and look at.
Yes,
Of course,
ma'am.
see, what the restrictions are as we get closer to that time. Probably do something similar to what we're doing with the preschool track meet. Limit how many people are in each area at a certain time. I haven't really got all that completely thought out yet. So I'd like to sit down with some of the staff and see what their suggestions are and make sure that Santa's comfortable with everything that we're doing and go from there.
There you go. Well, It comes from a great source that Santa will be glad to do whatever y'all need done.
All right, that's good to know.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody questions, Ms. Hamlin?
Hey, Cindy,
Yes.
you have the same budget as last year if you're not aware of that yet.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. I was going to be contacting you, so that helps out a lot. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Recreation Coordinator, Mr. Evans.
All right, a couple quick updates. One, our basketball registration is live. So if you're interested out there wanting to play in our men's open league or our high school open league or our high school individual league, registration is live through October 12th. That will go through all the way through fall break. Feel free to contact the office if you have any questions about that. Outside that, our fall baseball league is actually going to be completing this Thursday night. We have our 8U, 10U, and 12U age groups having their championship game on Thursday night. So if you want to swing by the park at 6 o'clock, it's going to be a really good atmosphere. With everything going on and as weird and as many cancellations as there's been this year, the fact that we were able to run and successfully complete a fall baseball league with 5 different age groups. I feel like that has to do a lot with our maintenance staff here in the office, and obviously our concession staff as well, and our umpires. We had to make some adjustments, but the fact that we were able to do that, the parents were really good about letting us know if somebody was exposed to anything. We didn't even have to shut down a team at any point. So it's been a very successful fall baseball league. Kickball is on a break for 2 weeks. We've got one more week of play, and then we'll have our tournament on October 23rd. And that's been a big success as well. Outside of that, we do have a workout on October 24th. We were going to have Moms and Mimosas back earlier this year, but we postponed it to October 24th. Kind of goes along with Breast Cancer Month. Erin Opry is a celebrity personal trainer. She's going to be hosting a workout class at CrossFit Hendersonville that morning. So we have already sold about half our ticket allotment. Tickets are live on our Facebook page and on our website.
Okay.
Just a quick question to Wade. Wade, how are you, I guess, with this league going on, how getting ready to sign up? How are you having problems securing gyms? Are you good with gyms?
Our staff, we met with Sumner County. Dallas has already been talking to the different schools, securing gym space. We're within the next week to 10 days, we should have which days and what dates are going to be available at each school. We'll be able to kind of know how many, and it really just depends on signups too with our players and teams. How many, especially in the youth league for sure with Civitan, what that's going to look like from a space perspective.
That's awesome. Good job, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Wade, I do have a question. It's probably something we need to talk about during the business day, but as you prepare for basketball and gym use, our gym supervisor is going to have any additional responsibilities or any other liaison work, especially like on a Wednesday night, making sure the facility is ready for students the next day. By no means do I want to shift any responsibility to that. We want to be good partners, but on speaking with other principals and other building staff, there's a heavy, heavy burden right now trying to keep schools open and kids in there. And the biggest problem we have had is sick kids coming to school, sick kids coming to events that they don't want to miss out because it's fun, and that's kind of posing an issue. So we can talk later, but you might be prepared for some folks to be a little gun shy on opening up gyms until maybe there's some assurances there.
Okay. I know that we're talking about too, even with our maintenance staff, and this isn't completely, but it's one of the ideas we talked about what it would look like to get a fog machine, what that would look like going in after practices or after games, even helping from a cleanliness and sanitation perspective. So, but yeah, I think it would be good to touch base too, just because I know, at least for hear what Merrill Hyde's done and how you guys have adjusted to things.
There's also some concern about people not respecting rules or procedures or guidelines. It's kind of like a mall cop. If you can't enforce it, it's pretty difficult to restrict. You're only gonna have one parent in there for practice or closed practices. I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but that probably bears out some discussion.
It does. I think so. That's a great point.
Any more questions?
That goes along with what I was going to say too, is if there's been discussions yet as far as once, that's kind of the practice situation and what's going on there. But once games start, what the procedures are going to be about entry and spacing and what's going to be expected.
I can speak to that a little bit if you want me to. From when we met with Dr. Phillips, basically, as far as like mask mandates and things go, we'll be following whatever the schools have in place. And they'll probably follow whatever the county puts in place with Mayor Holt. The plan right now is to do temperature checks at the doors for all gyms. So that'll be an added thing for our gym supervisors. And unless Sumner County Schools stops doing that, which I don't foresee them stopping that anytime soon. Also, like Wade said, we're going to have to go around. We're probably going to have to utilize our maintenance staff to go, especially on the long days when there's long 8-hour days in the gyms to fog clean the bathrooms during the day. As far as crowds go, and talking with Dr. Phillips and Mr. Brown, Coach Brown, the athletic director for the county. As of right now, what we're planning on doing with our high school and up leagues is just saying only family members can attend those games. Those tend to be the biggest crowds as far as people that are watching the games that aren't even participating. For the other leagues, we're going to have to spread out the game times to get the gyms cleared out, hopefully, to where we don't have multiple teams congregating, waiting to get in or waiting to play. So there's a lot of things that are going to go into this logistically, but Dr. Phillips has been great to work with, and all the principals have been so far to send us some times that we can use, and we're just going to have to do the best we can. We'll see what the numbers are. I don't know as of today what they are in the youth leagues, but I have a feeling if it's based on what everything else that's having signups, we're going to have a lot of people sign up.
Okay.
The first day of signups, Andy, we had 83 people as soon as we opened it. I haven't checked it this week, but the first day was 83 people. So that's a lot for the first day.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Yes, sir.
This program supervisor, the beautiful Andrea Wise.
Oh, thank you. September is full of baseball, softball tournaments. Soccer started with its annual fall tournament last weekend. We also had Shakespeare in the Park a couple weeks ago, which was the first time for that. We had cross country meets, and then we also had the Buffalo Wild Wings annual kickball tournament last Wednesday in the park. That's the recap of September. For October, it's going to be another busy month. Lots going on. It starts off with the Spencer Bristol Tournament this Saturday. And then we got the Cashville Explosion Tournament the following weekend. Fishing tournaments start this month. As Cindy mentioned, Trick or Treat is going to be this month. Registration opened last week, and I think as of Friday, there might have been 3 people that have signed up so far. Sumner Fest is also in October this year with the movie in the park. And then we are doing our own movie in the park series on October 17th, which you need tickets for, and we are showing Walk the Line for adults. And the following Saturday, we are showing Hotel Transylvania for the kids. We've got Football for the Cure, more cross-country meets, more baseball, softball tournaments. And then we are also doing our pumpkin carving contest in City Hall this year. Buffalo Wild Wings has agreed to donate lunch for the winning department, and Walmart is donating the pumpkins for it. And I believe that's pretty much all that's going on in October. So it's never ending here in the Parks Department.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Questions? Thank you, ma'am. Assistant Maintenance Supervisor, Mr. Kemper. Mr. Kemper.
Muted, Ed.
Okay. I guess because I'm last on the list between Mr. Gilly and Wade and Andrew, they pretty much covered everything I was going to talk about as far as everything we've had going on and everything we've been doing. The only other thing I can really bring up that's happened is we've got a new HVA system put in down at football at Civitan. Jeremy's worked on that for a couple of weeks and he's got it going. Andy's already talked about the tag systems at volunteer and veterans. Wade's covering all the tournaments we've got going on. I mean, I don't really have after being at the end, I'm pretty much done.
All right, buddy. Questions of Mr. Kemper? Mr. Kemper, you look awful comfortable there, bud.
Yeah, it's pretty nice to be kicked back in my own home chair here.
No, I'm in my house shoes, so don't worry about it.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say to Eddie that, I mean, I say it a lot, but I appreciate all the guys down there and what they do because that park looks great. I'm down there all the time. And just for everybody, the 3 or 4 people that might be watching, and just so they know, I get down there 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and the guys are already down there working. They're already hitting it hard. And that's why that park looks so good. And I know we had a big event this past weekend in soccer, and I know there were some guys that actually showed up at 5 just to make sure everything was clean, clear, and ready to go. And those guys really, really do work hard down there. And
yeah,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that because they do. They work hard. And I mean, Tennessee United had their big deal this weekend. And as far as I know, I never heard, me personally, I never heard a complaint. So I think it went off pretty good. And the guys do work hard down there. And I think overall they do a good job. And I think everybody sees it. So thank you.
Mr. Kemper. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Kemper. Assistant Director, Mr. Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, as was just mentioned, Tennessee United had their big fall tournament this past weekend, had about 140, 150 teams out there. I've been involved in a lot of Tennessee United tournaments, and this is probably one of the best ones I've seen run. And I was glad to see them back in the park after missing their spring tournament. Rec soccer, ongoing. They had a couple of games already this month, and then now they're kind of on hold until after fall break until games pick back up for rec soccer. Football, we got a huge league this year, which is exciting to see. Probably the biggest football league we've had since I've been here. I think we have 7 total teams in the city this year, so that's good. Civitan has chosen not to have a flag football league this year with tackle getting pushed back with their start dates. They decided to hold off on flag until the spring, but we hope to have flag back again next fall. Rugby started up this past month. They're out at the new park, and we're looking to host 2 weekends, I think, for games. The one that you guys talked about earlier with the camp, and then in November they'll be hosting the league's championship cup out there in November. Lacrosse, they'll begin doing their fall training after fall break, and so they'll be out at Volunteer Park and Memorial for their fall training this year. So they will not be on the outfields of the baseball fields anymore. And then, as already mentioned, basketball, we're gearing up for that. I just want to thank Dr. Phillips and all the principals and schools for working with us. We're really excited to be able to offer it this year, and we're working hard to come up with a plan as we were discussing a little bit ago. So other than that, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Questions? 2, 3, 4. Thank you, Mr. Long. Oh, Bobby, you got a question? Okay. Assistant Director, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things going on. We've got the Fast Pitch League. They've still got another week of regular season, and then they're going to do tournament after fall break. So they're going to take that week off, practice a little bit, and then play their tournament after fall break. Hockey is ongoing. Just about every night they're either practicing or games down there every night and Saturdays. Still hoping that one rink holds together till we can get some more built. Full count, the baseball league had a big day Saturday with the majority of their tournament, and they've got their finals Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. If anybody wants to come out and watch the final, it should be a good time. Civitan is still doing all their open team practices, trying to basically they lost their spring field time, of course, and so Civitan is trying to get what the team's paid for, get them field time, field space. Working with David Winter quite a bit on that, and going to try to go at least through the end of October. Senior men, they are doing fantastic as 65 and over, still playing. Tournament starts this week if anybody wants to come out and play on that end of it. Basketball, as they talked about, we've had some discussions, like Mr. White said. We're probably going to have to schedule some time in between games. We've had that discussion already. So gym space was already at a premium. With us having to put some time in between games, it's really going to be an issue. That's our biggest thing we're looking at right now is practice time and game time, getting enough gym space for all that to happen, put all the pieces together. The other thing to bring up, to emphasize, was the Bristol Tournament Saturday. I've worked with Matt Lee quite a bit on that, the Officer Lee, and that's going to start at 9. Excuse me. They're going to have an opening ceremony at 8:30. If anybody wants to come out for that, I think his wife and daughter are supposed to be there. And that part of it, all the proceeds of that day is going to the family, the wife and daughter. So if you want to come out during the day, it's like from 9 to 6 probably. They are having a silent auction there by the shelter by Field 4. If anybody wants to come out, participate in that. And also have some guest umpires for that tournament. Mr. Bubba and Mr. Lamar are going to be umpiring, I believe. I'm going to try to do a little bit myself and keep up with them. But Bubba will be guest appearing. Hopefully I get to work on the same field with him just to make me look good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Those questions? Well put. Well put. Parks Director, Mr. Gilly.
Keith, is that opening ceremony AM or PM? It's AM, right?
Correct, 8:30, and then the first games is at 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Bristol Tournament was on my list as well. That's very important. They're doing great work. Keith and Andrea, everybody has really worked hard with them. Mr. Lamar's on here. I appreciate him getting with all the umpires, getting them willing to donate their time for. They're going to umpire for free to help out. It's just it's going to be a great day Saturday at the park for that. Might want to tune in. Some of you might want to be interested tomorrow night. We've got Capital Projects Committee meeting, 4 o'clock. There'll be discussions about inline hockey relocation and some turf athletic fields and other issues in the city going on and how we're going to possibly fund those. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. There's needed projects. We'll just see if we can get them funded. I want to help Mr. Silkwood out. Rugby opening day is the 17th of October. That'll be their first games at the park. But on the 16th, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony. All the Parks Board and the Bowman members will be invited to attend that about 4 o'clock on Friday, October 16th. So if you want to mark your calendars for that. Andrea mentioned movie in the park. We got those nights coming up, 3 straight weekends, 3 movies, 3 different parks. Check out the Facebook page for that. And then later on, I can't remember if Andrea mentioned the parking palette or not, the event where we paint the parking spots at Mary's Magical Place. We want to make sure we get everybody involved in that if you possibly can. It's a great day as well. And then coming up within the next week, you're going to hear some announcements about not only Christmas events, but some things that we've got in the works. You know, it's near impossible to have a big, this time last year, we were getting ready for 5,000-6,000 people at Drakes Creek for the hometown jam. We can't do that right this minute, but we've got some unique ways that we're going to kind of have maybe multiple hometown jams with smaller crowds throughout different places and doing things for different charities coming up over the next few months. So that will all be announced within the next couple of weeks as well. But if anybody has any questions, I want to echo what Mr. White said. I cannot tell you how many phone calls I got this past weekend, text from people that rarely ever say anything, how great the park looked. So the maintenance guys have really done a tremendous job since March, keeping it the way it is. So that's all I have.
Questions to Mr. Gilly? Thank you, Mr. Gilly. Mr. Head, you got anything to say?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frank?
Actually, yes, it probably can be pushed to next meeting, but looking at the calendar, the November and December meetings are sometimes pushed up against holidays. And one of the things we would probably need to do at next meeting would be to consider extending the decision-making to the staff to approve events as needed into the new year, unless we have some major improvement and are able to meet back together in person. So I just want to kind of float that out there just to make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Mr. Bennett?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Mr. Pike?
Just want to second and third, I guess, what Mr. Gilliam was for White said, because I know Eddie and them have been working really hard. Every time I go through the park, I drive through a lot at night, drive through a lot in the mornings sometimes. It really looks good. I know, Eddie, you and them hear it from us. I don't know that the guys, I hope you share it with the guys, what we're saying, that it really, really looks good down there. And I know you work real hard.
Yeah, we do share it with all the workers down there. We appreciate it too.
And I also want to thank the staff, Parks Board, and Mr. Boat for participating with our Parks Board as liaison, and Mr. Lamar coming to all of our meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. Mr. Golden?
Nope, nothing to add.
Thank you, Mr. Bowler.
Miss Hamlin, if someone wanted to volunteer for the preschool track meet, how would they go about doing that?
They would just need to contact me at the Parks Department. I will be looking for volunteers to help out with that event. I usually contact the schools, which I'll be doing here in the next day or two, to see if anyone needs to get points, whatever you call it, volunteer hours for their clubs in the schools.
And I see Brian's still here. I just want to say well done on the rugby event that you got coming up.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Bowler. Mr. Perry?
No, I know it's been said 3 or 4 times. I'm like Mr. White. I'm at that park early in the mornings, and those guys are digging out there, and those young ones. That park is just beautiful, and it's just because of you guys out there digging every day out there. Thank you, Mr. Kemper. Brian, good job on the rugby deal, man. You have worked and worked. Thank you. It looks great over there, and all you guys, thank you. Appreciate every one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Mr. White?
One thing that mentioned in the Officer Bristol tournament this weekend, I've been talking to Officer Lee, and during those opening ceremonies, it's my understanding that there's also going to be a brief honoring of former Officer Jim Lawson that passed away back in the early spring. They're going to do something for him. I know his family's going to be there as well. So.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Bolt, you look very majestic there, sir.
Oh, me? Okay, yes. Indeed. Yes, I'm still wearing France behind me there, but last week I celebrated sort of like my 60th birthday, and I used to make fun of people when they say, back when I was a kid, well, you know, I'm getting like that now. I look back at memories from many years ago, and I happened to be out at the soccer fields this weekend, and I was talking to a friend of mine whose grandfather came over from Memphis to watch some soccer games, watching his grandson play, who lives in Franklin. And I was telling him about that first bathroom you get to before the bridge, and that's where the fields used to stop. when we started out there in the late 80s. And to see what Dave Lamar has started and what Andy and some of the others have taken on, I mean, the complex is terrific. And, you know, Tennessee United has done a great job of where we began it years and years ago and how they've matured and done so well. But the park's in really, really good shape, and the fields are in as good a shape as I've ever seen them, and really appreciate everything that the park staff, both in the office and out on the fields, do to keep things going. It's appreciated. It's appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Bolt. Mr. Lamar, do you have any words of wisdom for us, sir?
Just a couple comments. Eddie, if I were you, Eddie, I would go ahead and call PD in the morning. It sounds like you have some child predators roaming around the park early in the morning, and I'm really not sure that they don't need to be corralled.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure. Seriously, Eddie, kudos to the maintenance guys. I was down there watching a full count the other day, and those guys, I'm on the board of directors with full count, and those guys are absolutely thrilled at what the staff has done, maintenance and administratively, to help those guys. That league has just gone over the top with these high school baseball players, and they appreciate what you guys have done. Yeah, I appreciate Nathan, you guys, a bunch of them donating their time, umpires for this weekend. I've got about 16 guys that are going to donate their time to umpire for the Bristol Tournament. That's great. The capital projects, that meeting coming up, Andy was talking about, we've got 2.6 million in there. We're going to discuss tomorrow night for the hockey rinks. That is the rinks and the cover and everything. So we're going to try. I'm going to do my best as interim city administrator, because you know my heart is in the park, guys. So you know, since I've been there so long, but to try to get that thing fully funded. The turf fields, I can't imagine having 3 or 4 turf fields in the park and being able to have tournaments. So hopefully we're gonna try to push that through. And then the LED lights, in addition of some of those fields. I know Field 12, when the ASA USA guys came, I took 4 of them back to the airport, and they said the park was great. They love coming here and everything, but boy, we sure could use some new lights up on Field 12. And I said, yeah, we know that. So that being said, again, we'll try to push those things through tomorrow night with capital projects and see what happens. Just 2 more comments. Bubba, I appreciate you bringing the Big Bubba Bash back. The only thing we're going to probably have to do is get Frudenthal and Pike out of retirement so they can coach.
Some turtlenecks. Got us some turtlenecks.
I got one.
Yeah, and I think the big dog Mike Pike would be good for that dog event. Once you need to be in that big dog event. So, all joking aside, I appreciate the Parks Board. You guys this is as good a Parks Board as we've had in a long time. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate your work. A lot of events going on. I see from the other end of the building the number of events and the number of dollars coming in, and I appreciate what you guys do. So, kudos to all you guys, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar. We've talked, there's been several folks talk about the maintenance staff, and rightfully I'm adding my thanks to that. But I want to also say that the park staff seem to enjoy what they're doing more than anybody ever saw. They all seem to care so much. I've talked to Andy several times. His thought and all of that he does goes to make the parks better. So I want to thank the administration first and foremost, because they work hard, and I'm proud of you. I will accept a motion to dismiss.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Pike makes motion.
Second.
Mr. Perry, second. Do we need a voice on that, Ms. Gilly? Are we okay?
We need to call the roll.
I love it. Miss you, Janie. Let's get out of here.
Mr. Head?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Frank?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Pike?
Yes.
Mr. Hessen?
Yeah.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adios.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.